We used the money from your mother-in-law's savings for this trip. It'll eventually become Tyler's inheritance anyway, so it's fine, right? My brother and his wife rushed over immediately after my mother passed away, not to offer condolences, but to get her bank book and withdraw her savings before I could submit her death certificate to the government office. You used Mom's money? Huh? Trying to suppress my anger, I asked Carol, who casually responded, "Yeah, we spent about $10,000 on the trip, LOL. The audacity of my brother and his wife, who conspired to use my mother's money without permission, made me furious for a moment. But then I remembered something. Right, these people don't know. I couldn't help but laugh. Ha 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 ha. My condolences. Carol looked puzzled by my sudden laughter. What's wrong with you? Did the shock of us using the money make you go crazy? Of course, I wasn't going crazy. I just couldn't help but laugh when I imagined the surprised faces of my brother and his wife when they found out the truth and their miserable fate. Their carefree days were probably numbered. I am Samantha, a very ordinary office worker, raised by kind parents. My parents were always good-natured, constantly thinking about what they could do for others. Their kindness sometimes led them to being deceived or burdened with unfair responsibilities, but I admired them nonetheless. However, my brother Tyler had a completely different personality. He was always calculating what was beneficial for him and acted accordingly. To him, our parents, who would go out of their way to help others, were incomprehensible. As Tyler grew up, his rebellion against our parents intensified. In high school, he began to demand more money from them, saying, "If you can afford to do something for others, you can give me more allowance." Despite accepting Tyler's personality, our parents never changed their beliefs. Their unwavering character only frustrated him more. Tyler's negative feelings towards our parents only grew stronger in college. Taking advantage of the fact that our parents paid for his tuition, Tyler spent his college days partying and eventually failing a year, which caused them trouble. Parents should naturally devote themselves to their children, right? Or can you only be kind to others, but not your own family? Tyler continued his selfish behavior with such justification. I once heard him brag to his friends, "My parents are so gullible, LOL." After graduating college, Tyler moved out and started living on his own. Although he left home without notice, he complained, "I can't live a decent life on my first paycheck," and kept coming back to our parents' house to get living expenses before returning to his own place. Our parents worried about him and kept giving him money as requested. When I got a job, I decided to support our parents financially in place of Tyler. "Samantha, it's your hard-earned money, so you can use it however you like." Although my parents said this, I wanted to help them, so I continued to give them money as if it were their grocery expenses. This lifestyle continued for several years, and Tyler, who only showed up to ask for money, unusually invited me and our parents to a restaurant to talk. At the meeting place, a beautiful woman was sitting next to Tyler. "Dad, Mom, Samantha. Let me introduce you. This is my girlfriend, Carol." The woman introduced as Carol bowed her head slightly. "I've decided to marry Carol. We'll be busy preparing for our new life and the wedding, but I hope you'll support us." I thought support meant something like, "Please take care of Carol." But it seems my older brother had a completely different idea in his head. He asked our parents to pay for his wedding and new home. Knowing our parents' inability to say no when it comes to helping others, he skillfully persuaded them to cover all the expenses. Even after the wedding and the purchase of the new home, he continued to get money from them. Carol, his wife, became accustomed to this and started living more extravagantly. However, this lifestyle didn't last long. Our father's health deteriorated, and he was hospitalized. Even with insurance, hospital stays are expensive. To ensure our retired parents wouldn't struggle financially, I suggested to my brother that we both share the burden of the hospital bills. "I've been living at home and getting help from Mom and Dad, And you've received a lot of financial support from them too, right? This is the time to help them out. But my brother didn't agree. What? Why should I? It's Dad's fault for not taking care of his health. He neglected himself while helping others. That's his responsibility. After that, my brother stopped visiting our parents' house altogether. Neither he nor Carol visited our father even once while he was in the hospital. My mother and I desperately took care of him, but he passed away. Even when we informed them of our father's death, they didn't help with the funeral arrangements. They showed up briefly at the funeral, but didn't greet our relatives properly and left. Our relatives looked at them with disdain, but they probably didn't care. My mother, who had bravely acted as the chief mourner during the funeral, began to lose her energy after the funeral, clearly affected by the loss of my father. Tyler, Mom has been feeling down lately. She wants to see you. Can you visit her at home sometimes? When I asked my brother, he thought for a moment and then said, "By the way, what happened to Dad's inheritance?" "It all went to Mom. It seems they had decided that's what they would do when Dad was still alive." "I see. So Mom has the money now, right?" Feeling a bad premonition, I warned my brother immediately. "Like I said before, Mom is mentally weak right now. Don't try to take her money, okay? I want you to come and cheer her up." "What's the point of going if I can't get any money? It's not worth it." When I insisted that we wouldn't give him any money, he never visited our parents' house. And then, half a year after our father's death, our mother passed away too. Even knowing our mother's weakened state, my brother never showed any concern. When he learned of her death, he rushed back to our parents' house. I thought he would fulfill his duty as the eldest son during the funeral. But as it started, he and his wife disappeared. I called his cell phone, but it went straight to voicemail. In the end, I took on the role of the chief mourner instead of him and managed to finish the funeral. It was a few days later when I finally got in touch with my brother. "Ah, Samantha? This is Carol." When I called my brother's phone, Carol answered. "Tyler is busy with boarding procedures and can't answer the phone." "Boarding procedures? Carol, where are you?" "We're at JFK Airport. We're leaving the United States in a few hours, LOL. "Are you leaving the United States and going abroad?" "Yes, we're going on an international trip." I was surprised at my brother and his wife's decision to go on a trip abroad, right after our mother's death. But I was even more shocked by what Carol said next. "We're really grateful to our mother-in-law, you know. Thanks to her, we're able to enjoy this luxurious trip abroad. Haha." "What do you mean by that?" "Well, we used our mother-in-law's savings for this trip. It was going to be Tyler's inheritance anyway, so why not?" "From Mom's savings? How did you get that money?" "When we visited her house, we borrowed her bank book and seal. We knew we wouldn't be able to withdraw money once the death certificate was submitted, so we hurried." The real reason they rushed to our mom's house after her death was to get the bank book and withdraw the money before I submitted the death certificate. "So you use Mom's money?" Trying to suppress my anger, I asked Carol, and she casually replied, "Yes, we already spent $10,000 on the trip expenses. It's a good thing Tyler's plan worked out." For a moment, I was furious at the audacity of my brother and his wife for using our mom's money without permission. But then, I remembered something. That's right. They don't know. I couldn't help but laugh. Serves you right. Confused by my sudden laughter, Carol asked, "What's wrong with you? Did the shock of us using the money make you lose your mind?" "Tyler is the eldest son, so it's natural for him to inherit more, right?" Laughing, I answered, "Sure, that's fine. I'll give up my inheritance so Tyler can inherit everything. That was your plan all along, right?" Upon hearing this, Carol happily said, "Oh my, you're quite understanding." By the way, please make sure to arrange for all of Mom's mail to be sent to your house from now on. "Don't worry, it's a simple task. I'll let Tyler know." Carol hung up the phone cheerfully. I didn't hear from my brother again until they returned from their trip. Samantha, Carol told me you're giving up your inheritance. Yes, but more importantly, did you handle the mail forwarding for Mom's mail? Yeah, I took care of it as soon as we got back. Good to know. You're not going to change your mind later, are you? You won't say you should have inherited after all? Of course not. I still believe my decision was the right one. Well, it's only right that I, the eldest son, inherit everything. Haha. My brother said this and ended the call in high spirits. But a few weeks later, he called again, sounding panicked. There's a collection notice addressed to Mom in her mail. What's this about? Oh, is it from the bank? Our parents always wanted to help people in need and would accept any request. This included money matters. If someone asked to borrow money, they would even borrow from the bank to lend to others or become a guarantor if asked. As a result, their debt grew more and more. The amount of debt was far greater than the savings, so inheriting would clearly put them in the red. Did you know about this? My brother raised his voice. You knew Mom had debt, right? Why didn't you say anything? There was no point. What? You're saying it's meaningless? You knew about the debt, so you gave up your inheritance, right? If I had known, I would have given it up too. That's impossible. Why the hell is it impossible? Tyler, you took money from Mom's bank account to go on vacation, didn't you? So what? What does that have to do with giving up the inheritance? It's a big deal. What you did is considered a simple acceptance of the inheritance. Simple? What does that mean? Explain it so I can understand. I explained to my brother that by withdrawing money from our deceased family member's account for his own use before the inheritance process, it was seen as a simple acceptance of the inheritance. I've never heard of such a thing. Of course not, huh? Not many people would even consider using a deceased family member's savings for their own selfish desires, so it doesn't come up in conversation. You're just making stuff up because you want the inheritance for yourself. I have a lawyer friend, you know. They'll find out if you're lying. My brother hung up the phone and apparently told his lawyer friend what I had said. He called back later, but his previous bravado was gone. Samantha, you were right. I can't give up the inheritance now, it seems. It appeared the lawyer had given him the same answer I did. Finally, my brother realized he had inherited the debt. He had always begged our parents for money, never knowing they were accumulating debt behind the scenes. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say it was his own fault for contributing to the debt. Still, my brother desperately tried to find a way to avoid paying it back. He and his wife, Carol, probably didn't have much savings since they spent their earnings freely. It was clear they didn't have the means to pay back the debt. My brother tried to sweet-talk me. Hey, Samantha, our parents are gone, and it's just us siblings now, right? Isn't this the time to join forces? Join forces? What do you mean? I think we should work together to pay back our parents' debt. Now's the time to show our filial piety. So forget about the inheritance and help me pay back half the debt. I sighed heavily at my brother's selfish proposal, which was too little, too late. What are you talking about? When Dad was in the hospital, I said we should help our parents together, but you pushed me away. I was busy at the time. No matter how busy you were, you didn't visit Dad in the hospital even once. And you didn't support our grieving mother afterward. I don't want to hear the words filial piety from someone like you ever again. With nothing left to say, I left my brother hanging. Have you ever done anything for someone else, Tyler? I know you took advantage of our kind parents, but there's no one who will help someone who can't do anything for others, even if they're family. But if you don't help me, Carol and I can't pay back the debt by ourselves. Are you going to abandon your brother? We're family. When Dad was in the hospital, you abandoned him, saying it was his own fault for not managing his health. This time, using Mom's savings is your own fault. I regret that, okay? I've changed. Have you? I still think you're just desperate to reduce your own debt. And even if you've changed, the person you should apologize to is no longer in this world. It's too late. I cut off my brother and hung up the phone. I had no intention of helping him after all the trouble he had caused our parents throughout the years. Afterwards, burdened with debt and unable to live the carefree life they once had, Tyler and Carol's relationship quickly turned sour. However, living separately would only cost more money. Unable to afford even the moving expenses, Tyler and Carol had no choice but to continue their married life together, bickering all the while. At first, they tried to save money and pay off the debt little by little from their salaries, but it didn't last long. Neither Tyler nor Carol could forget their luxurious lifestyle, and they would secretly spend money behind each other's backs, causing their debt to never decrease. As a result, they blamed each other for their inability to reduce the debt, further damaging their relationship. Their marriage continued to crumble in this vicious cycle. On the other hand, I finally found the time to properly mourn our parents. I remembered how, during our parents' funeral, countless attendees tearfully expressed their gratitude for the help our parents had provided them when they were in need. Realizing how many people our parents had helped made me feel even more proud of them. It was ironic that my brother, who had never shown any gratitude and had always caused trouble for our parents, ended up shouldering the debt that resulted from their acts of kindness. Even though they were drowning in debt, I still admired our parents for never giving up on helping others. With these thoughts in mind, I continued to pay my respects to our parents at the family altar every day.